Hi, I'm Jalen Rose, and welcome to the Renaissance Man podcast, proudly presented by the New York Post. You know what it is, a show where we cover trends in fashion, entertainment, current events, and everything in between. My next guest is an industry titan. Kevin Liles is a legendary record executive and CEO of 300 Entertainment, which is the home of breakthrough artists like Young Thug, Megan Thee Stallion, and Gunna. He spent at least 3 decades courting one of the most influential labels in music, Def Jam. It is my honor to welcome my brother, Kevin Liles, to the show.
What's happening, what up, brother? Though? What up, though? What up, though?
What up, though? No doubt. Exactly. I appreciate you taking the time joining me. I know your story, but I can't wait to tell your story to the audience of the New York Post. So I have to ask you, what was it like for you growing up in Baltimore, and how did it shape the person that you are now?
Jay, Baltimore and Detroit, got a lot of history. We went through a lot of the same things. We've been oppressed people. We've learned how to grow up with rusty spoons in our mouth. Whether it was music, basketball, football, baseball in some cases, we tried to find our way through sports and entertainment. And I truly have to say, at a moment in time when I heard Run DMC's Sucker MC, I knew that I had to be part of that boom bap. You know what I mean? I had to figure out what it was, and as a football player and as an artist, it saved my life. You know what I mean? Because we're supposed to be dead on drugs or in jail at age 16. If you're coming from a city, like ours. And I tell people, if it wasn't for the angels and bumpers in my life, aunt that really wasn't my aunt, and the uncle that really wasn't my uncle, and the hustler that said, don't hustle. You know what I mean? If it wasn't for the coach, if it wasn't for my first grade teacher, Miss Day, if it wasn't for my guidance counselor, Mr. Woodfolk, if it wasn't for the communities of West Side and Woodlawn and all those things, I might be the statistic in a negative way. And so this opportunity to sit here and even talk to you, two brothers from the same kind of background, and you're talking about the New York Post, and I'm talking about selling my company. That's a blessing. So I could. The journey's been long. The journey's definitely been hard. And anyone who knows the story, we grow up with the rusted spoon in your mouth, and you try to make the best, out of what you have, and that's what I did.
And one of my favorite big lyrics, and you just alluded to it, either you sling crack rock or you got a wicked jump shot, because we felt that either sports or entertainment was going to be our path. And by the way, Sucker MCs, that song is just classic, by the way. Shout out to Run DMC, the legends, and shout out to the OG Russell Simmons. But I have to ask you, when did you started to figure that music was going to be your way out?
Again, I heard the record. I knew this group that they were the 4 DJs. They would call themselves the New Marks, and one of them lived around the corner from me. And so, I was a big football player in high school, and so they were like, "Yo, we should come over, hang out." And they said, "Well, we want to start a rap group. I heard you write poetry." I said, who told you that? And we started kicking it, and we became best friends. And we added, 10 turntables we could mix, and we also, had the rap thing going on. And very, very early on, I had some success on the radio, and we used to do mixes for EBB and V103 back then. And then actually, what made it work, somebody asked us to do a record. So, we did a record. People, liked it. Didn't sell a lot, but locally it sold enough for somebody to come and say, make another record. And then somebody to come say, make an album. And at that time, I was opening for LL Cool J. Come to Baltimore, come to Philly, Will Smith and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, what it was called back, Fresh Prince, opening for Salt and Pepper, Run DMC. So you got to, at that time I was a regional star, in music. And then I wrote this record that I sold like 100,000 copies, but somebody stole it from me and sold 18 million copies.
What was that? What record is that?
That's Girl, You Know It's True, Milli Vanilli.
Right. I was gonna ask you about that.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and then they literally got discovered as lip syncing.
Yep.
So, like, talk to me about that process in your life.
I'm a young kid. I found out that somebody remade my record because I was home chilling, and this girl said, "Yeah, they're playing your record." And I'm like, talking shit. Like, yeah, of course they play my record. They play my record all the time. She said, "No, the video's about to come on." I'm like, I never made a video. And damn if I didn't see Milli Vanilli doing my song on the videos. That's how I literally found out. So you can imagine, I think I'm 17, 18 was around then. I'm trying to figure out, but that was the moment, Jay, I told you, I didn't want to be in the music business anymore. I wanted to be in the business of music. There had to be something that I was missing. And I never wanted somebody to have that feeling that I had. So I dedicated, that was the second moment that triggered the business acumen in me. So yes, I was still an artist, and yes, I was at Morgan State on Nassau Scholarship for engineering. Yes, I was working at a marketing firm. And yes, I was hustling every day to make it all, traveling around the world. But it was just a lot of different things that led me here.
So who were some of the first artists as you started to master and get into the business of music were you working with at that time?
I would say, listen, I Run DMC, LL Cool J, Apache, Naughty by Nature, MC Light, Ella. I mean, go down the list of, because that when I started figuring out the business of music, I was interning. And I remember I went to my man, God rest his soul, Wes Johnson, and he was a senior vice president of marketing promotions for Def Jam. And he was from Baltimore. And so I said, Wes, yo, you should give me a job. Everybody know me. He said, Kevin, you're the biggest thing in the region. Of course, everybody know you, but you don't do this. And I said, what you mean? He said, I do this. I said, and so long story short, he said, you should intern. I said, I'm making money already. Intern, I don't understand, but I don't need your money. I'll do whatever. And they put a guy named Kevin Mitchell, who was from Boston, into the Mid-Atlantic region, but he didn't know anybody. So the thing is, the reason I got the job, I'll tell you, and God rest his soul, too, not rest his soul, God bless him, Frank Ski. Kevin called me one day, I'm at work. He said, Kev, they tell me I got to see Frank Ski, and he don't really see people. Do you know him? I said, yeah, it's my man. I said, well, can you get me up and see him? So I called Frank, I said, yo, my man needs to see you. I'm interning for the company, figure it out. He said, Kev, why he say that? So he got to see him, and then the rest is history because Kevin got moved up. We were doing so great in the Mid-Atlantic. I took over the Mid-Atlantic regional job and then moved up from there.
As a Detroiter, I always got a chance to live my vision of rap music through an East Coast lens because that's the birth and the home of hip hop.
Yep.
And so as I now recall your story, it reminds me that you were standing there the entire time. I'm watching things like Beat Street, Crush Groove, and I'm going to Run DMC, Raising Hell tour, and Nitro tour. Yeah. So talk about like the early formation of like working with historic artists like Run DMC, some of your favorite memories of being around LL Cool J, these giants of what we call rap music.
But the great thing about it, a lot of them I opened up for as an artist, so they knew me as an artist. And then when I so the familiarity was there when they said, "Oh, yo, you that kid from Newmark?" Yeah, Kev, blah, blah, blah. So the familiarity was there, and I can only tell you, I was like you. Even though I was there, I was living through a lens of a little kid that's so excited to be around. We all kind of like Todd and LL and Joey, and all of us are like the same age. You know what I mean? So it's like we actually came up together. Literally. You know what I mean? So I'm the regional or artists, and I'm growing up with them. And the funny thing, Jalen, about our hip hop culture is that we, especially when you come from where we come from, you know, we don't want to just be part of it. We want to excel at it. And we have that thing in us that, especially, you know, as an athlete, I know you can relate to this. I leave it on the court, on the field every day. It doesn't matter what it is. And I didn't grow up wanting to be in the music business like that. You know what I mean? I had a different kind of mindset. I used to go to shows and I would wonder, damn, I spent $10 to get in here and it's 8,000 people here. And the promoters paying the artists. How many glow sticks, t-shirts? I could, it all became business to me. So even those early days that I was a fan, I guess that was the electrical engineer in me. You know, I was still dissecting things to come up with my own theory. But I was blessed to, you know, when you probably was looking from Detroit, I was probably on stage right,
no doubt,
in the sound booth somewhere,
no doubt,
you know, rocking out, because these have become great friends to me. You know,
as an icon in the game and as one of its greatest entrepreneurs, what is it like for you to now see corporate America embrace hip hop because they know it's the pulse of the world versus a period of time where you needed to convince people about the viability of rap music?
Well, you speak about 3 or 4 truths in there. And the reality of it is, I know you remember they used to say, you know, we're going to put your music on for 1 hour every Friday night. Then they went from saying we're going to play more music and less rap. Then they go from saying we're the station of hip hop and R&B. Then they go to say we're not going to put your segment of the awards on TV. Now the whole world is pushing P. now the whole world, you know, we have the #1 music in the world for like going on the third year through a pandemic, through it, but it's because it's the truth. And we're not really just talking about music. We telling stories, yo. We telling epic blockbuster stories about through our lens around the world. So that touches certain people. And you got to realize the guy that was going to college that heard Walk This Way with Run DMC and fell in love with those things, they now had kids. And all that kid been hearing his whole life is hearing hip hop. You know what I mean? So this is why you have a Rolling Loud now.
Right.
You know, this is why, you know, you have rap artists at Coachella now. This is why you have Megan Thee Stallion, whether it's Coach or whether it's Popeyes, or your own sauce, you know, no matter what. This is why you have, you know, Young Thug being able to start his clothing line, or Gunna being at the fashion show. You know, this is, it's because it's culture. This ain't just music, yo. It's culture.
And KRS-One always defined that. He made sure that this is rap music, but we consume and our life embodies hip hop, DJing, graffiti, how we dress, how we speak. And so for you, as you now see artists, before I used to call it the oven generation. When you took the time to develop an artist, it percolated, then you put the artist out. Now I call it the microwave generation. All you need is a phone or a computer and you can put out a song. And so for you, how do you see the difference in the quality of artists and the quality of music now that that's shifted?
You know, a lot of people ask that, man, but you know, I'm 3 decades. And if you think about, there were artists that we wasn't sure about even back in the day that had a one-hit wonder. Joski Love.
Yeah, Pee Wee Herman.
So back, you can't say about the one hit. They're gonna be those. But now what you have is there's no gateway. You know, so everybody's a rapper. Everybody's a singer. Everybody can do it. So it's not that the quality has gone down. It's just so much
gateway.
of it.
Right.
The gateway has exploded that you can hear it. But one thing about me, and this goes across any kind of music, because there's culture in country, there's culture in rock, there's culture in pop to me. And it's culture in hip hop. You know, I'm searching for that, man. I don't have artists. I have human beings. I have sons and daughters that are gonna have to come out in this society and raise and participate and make this a better world. I have employees. I have human beings, and so everything has the reason I'm able to decipher well that might be a song or this art. I really only sign cultural things. I really work but see, I'm a curator still. You know what I mean?
Correct.
I'm not trying to be everything to everybody.
Correct.
I have a point of view.
Correct.
Period. And anything I do in any company I have will have a point of view.
And I got to tell you something about that point of view. The Hollywood Reporter and a couple of other outlets reported that you allegedly sold your company for $300 million.
Nah, it was 400 million.
I don't mean to be all in your pockets and things.
It's all good. Listen, I can only tell you, Jalen, every move, we started the company 8 years ago. And it was at the downturn of the industry still going down. We were going from a platform change, you know, whether it was the MP3 to, the streaming from the CD, whatever, and to a consumption change. So people were still on a computer, but they just wanted to stream now. And when we had Fetty Wap come with Trap Queen, he blew the internet up like, I mean, it was, I couldn't, he had Trap Queen's a diamond record. It's our first diamond record, for those, that's 10 million single equivalents for us. And he had a multi-platinum album and everything started to shift from there. So you go from Trap Queen to Migos to Young Thug to Meg to T Grizzly and on and Gun, and now building YSL. So I just say my job is to stay ahead of where the business is, but always go back to, is it telling a true story? Is it cultural? And somebody said, well, Kev, you put out different kind of records. Guys, I put out records that I feel, not that I just listen to. I got to feel the records I put out. That I have a soul, and I always say there's a soul in music, and that really, that's my immortal, the compass of how I sign things.
And by the way, the artists that you work with and the ones you just mentioned are really moving and shaping our culture. And you guys are doing an amazing job of telling those stories via their voices. For you, what is it like now? And again, you're talking about 3 decades in the game. Like, I saw you be the president in the early 2000s of Def Jam. What is it like for you to reinvent yourself? Please acknowledge for the audience some of the artists you worked with then, and then say the artists again that you now work with, that's their favorite artist. How have you been able to reinvent yourself?
I'll tell you, the first phase, Run DMC, Public Enemy, LL Cool J, Redman, Method Man, EPMD, Slick Rick, Montel Jordan, go down the list of those are Foxy Brown. And then the next phase was Jay-Z, Kanye, DMX, Ludacris, Ja Rule, Ashanti, the whole Rockefeller, Warren G, Domino. Go down the list of that whole phase and that lifetime. And then I guess my time at Warner, you go for the T.I. and you talk about Bruno, Ed Sheeran, and all the guys there. And then the next phase where I'm at now, you talk about Gunna, Meg Thee Stallion. Oh, I signed my baby girl Mary J. Blige.
There we go. There we go. And she crushing it on Power.
Yeah, she crushing it on Power. She's performing halftime with the Super Bowl with Dre. She's on the cover of Elle magazine. And look at Megan. Megan said, I'm gonna do me and I'm gonna get my degree. I'm gonna do me and I'm gonna be a businesswoman. Young Thug say, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur and we're gonna build a front-facing label called YSL. Young Stone, and the first artist I'm signing this Gunna. And guess what? He's had a number one album, and he had another number one album just in January to kick off 2022. You know, you look at these things. So, and I want to just correct when people say reinvent yourself. I don't really reinvent. You know, the only thing's been different about me is when we met, I was 320 pounds.
But that's a reinvention. That's a reinvention. That's a reinvention.
Okay, so listen, I guess I say it to say, I just tell my truth. I didn't come into this business. It wasn't about making money to me. I wanted to serve artists and serve the culture. And, you know, I live by three things, man. There's good, bad, right, wrong. I treat people how I want to be treated. And when you live a life of service, which I was always taught by Russell, when you live a life of service, God rewards you in all different kinds of ways. I could have been a big artist, but I would have been the big artist for being a big artist. But what God said, let me take something from you to only give you something greater, because I want to make sure that you can handle it. Just think, if I was just Kevin the artist, I might not be here now. Right. But now, 3 decades later, so thousands and thousands of employees, been able to make hundreds of millionaires out of employees and artists, and still able to do what I did. So as long as I can be of service to the culture, I'm gonna be here.
You're a leader, my brother, and you remind me of something that I always remind myself when I get confused. I just try to lead with love. That's what I try to do. And you're doing something also that's really incredible. And it just got announced also a few days ago that you're launching 300 studios, a film and content studio, currently with over 20 projects in production. Like, yes, that's real meaningful investment. Please describe what's happening with that.
Well, I think, you know, we've been telling stories since the show back in the day. You know, we Nutty Professor, How to Be a Player, Red Man and Method Man, How High. Like it's just, you know, I was the Def Jam at that particular time, and I've always kept the storytelling around. And you know, so I tell a lot of stories through audio, but I wanted to get back into the space. So I wanted to tell one of the stories that I think if I didn't push for it to be told, it wouldn't be told. And that's the journey of Bubba Wallace through NASCAR, you know, the only current African-American cup driver. And I didn't know that the George Floyd thing was going to happen. I didn't know that we have all of this, you know, Breonna Taylor. I didn't know all of this, but we're filming the guy because I wanted to tell a story. He's the only one since Wendell Scott. And I want to tell a story. We didn't know that Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin would come and be his racing team. I couldn't make this up. You couldn't make it up. So that the story of his journey, of him being the only one there, I wanted to tell. And so we made the announcement. You know, I don't talk about it until I'm about it. You know what I mean? So we made the announcement. I wanted to do it for Black History Month because that comes on Netflix on February 22nd. Shout out to my partners, you know, Boardwalk and Eric and everybody that helped me with it.
Before I let you get out of here, and I do appreciate your time and your patience and your leadership and service, not only to the artists, but to entrepreneurs, to young brothers who look up and aspire to be like you. You've always been a beacon. You've always been well-spoken. You've always been disciplined. I admire you and I appreciate you. I'm going to also write a column about this interview that's going to be in the New York Post too. But before I let you get out of here, I got a rapid fire segment called Gone in 60 Seconds. You ready to do this?
Let's get it.
All right. You heading home to Baltimore. What's the first restaurant you hitting up?
Moe's Seafood.
Name one artist we might not know yet, but they got next.
Snot.
Which rapper, past or present, do you think has the best A&R skills?
Wow. I think one of the greatest A&R talent is Young Thug and A$AP Rocky.
Great call. And A$AP Rocky, he should be doing some acting too. I know you're going to make that happen. Name a filmmaker who has to work with 300 studios in the future. It's mandatory.
Oh, wow. I would love to do something with Denzel. I love to do something just because I think, and Antoine Fuqua I did something with before. Spike, I've done a lot of things. I mean, here's the thing, Jalen, you got to realize, all of Brett Ratner, all of Chris Robinson, all of them guys made our early videos. So now you got these guys that are, you know, so I know that's not 60 seconds, but I want to pay homage to
no doubt
guys who visualized what it's been a blessing, man. So yeah, I would say definitely D, but there's a lot of young talent coming up, and I'm about to announce something. I'll announce it with you first. I'm going to,
yes.
I want people to reimagine when, you know, Mary says in the record, "Good morning, gorgeous." And I think we need to tell ourselves that. You know, we hear, you know, all the names and, you know, this, that, and bitch this and blah, blah, blah. You know, how about we wake up and tell our daughters, "Good morning, gorgeous"? How about we tell our sister, "Good morning, gorgeous"? How about we tell our wife, "Good morning, gorgeous"? And say something different. So I'm gonna have that reimagined by creators. I'm gonna do a big 300 Studios contest around it, and you're hearing about it before it's even out.
That's love. You guys heard it here first. Kevin Liles, Mary J. Blige, encouraging us to not only value our sisters, but also speak it into existence as much as possible. It's extremely important work you're doing, my brother. All love, many blessings. Looking forward to catching up with you soon.
You got it, brother. Continued success, man.
Thanks a lot.